Welcome back to the channel. In this episode I'll be telling you how I'm getting my small 4 foot by 6 foot greenhouse ready for winter. So let's get straight into it. So we're in the middle of October now and I've started preparations for winter in the greenhouse. Now I treat this greenhouse as a bit of a cactus house, and I do down below overwinter some tropical plants. So it's a bit of a mishmash of things I'm doing in here, but I suppose this applies for anyone with a greenhouse. So the first thing I will say is that on the north wall of this greenhouse, it's a 4 foot by 6 foot Halls greenhouse, and I've got 2 layers of thermowrap foil bubble wrap insulation. It never gets light, of course, from the north wall, so that stays on permanently. It comes self-adhesive, and I've stuck on the full height and the full width is just pure foil insulation, so it reflects heat, it reflects light all year round. And then when it gets to about end of September, beginning of October, I take my shade cloth down. I do have shade cloth up over summer just to stop the scorch on any of the plants, and I replace it with bubble wrap. I bubble wrap everything. Now this is just a roll of bubble wrap from the high street, but of course a lot of people go for the bigger bubbles with more insulation. I also, you can see how I attach my doors a bit leaky. Well, it's got, you know, a couple of gaps in it, so I do just pin up on the very cold days, just using these nuts here just to keep any drafts out. Goes all the way down, and then when it's not that cold, I do take it off. And of course ventilation is important, so I do open the door through the day, let a bit of air in. I have got an auto vent up here, and I am probably going to cut more of that away so I can get a bit of airflow. I will be adding a small fan as well at some point just to keep the air moving. But I didn't have a fan last year, and there was no real problems with moisture in here. Well, for example, it's you do get a lot of condensation behind the bubble wrap, but I've never had any issues with the cacti or succulents. So I don't think that's too much of a problem. But I might add some dehumidifying blocks in here as well to manage the moisture if it does become a bit of an issue. We've had a couple of nighttime temperatures down to about 2 degrees, which is not quite enough for a frost, but these plants, these desert plants anyway, I would like to try and keep them above 5, but although they did do -2 last year. So I just want to go through my heating setup of what I've done. So I have this thermostat here. I turn it on in October, and if you look on the screen there, you can see the current temperature is 14.2 degrees Celsius, and then I've got it set to 8 degrees, but obviously you can move that up and down. You can set what you like. Last year I had it down to 5 degrees to come on, but I'm having it at 8 there because I want to dry out the moisture as much as possible before we get into the depth of winter. So when the temperature hits 8 degrees, then it's plugged into my bar heater, which is under here. This is another Amazon purchase, and you can see the bar heater is about 2 foot long, and it gives out plenty of heat, and obviously the heat radiates upwards into the plants just to keep it well above 5 degrees ideally, but in practice just to keep the very cold off. And of course one of the big issues with plants is frost, and of course you don't get frost inside anyway, so we're fine. But these plants will be absolutely fine heading down to freezing in a couple of degrees Celsius below, so I'm not too worried. On very cold nights, what I do is I get some more bubble wrap and I hang it and I sort of make a little compartment over this area, so the front of the greenhouse is a little bit cooler and the heat kind of stays on that side of the greenhouse where my desert plants are. One thing I've added this year is this little sensor push sensor, and I've got an app, and it does send me a nice line graph of temperatures 24 hours a day, and it just gives me a little bit of peace of mind, so I don't have to keep coming and checking what low temperatures are and, you know, high temperatures, etc. So that's my greenhouse setup. It's not complete yet. I've still got things I want to work on to improve it. It is a very small greenhouse, like I say, and everything's packed in down there. There's no room, barely room for me to stand. I'm sort of just squashed in behind this banana plant here. So that's it, a 4x6 foot greenhouse. The good thing about these smaller greenhouses, of course, is it's easier to heat. In an ideal world, I'd love a larger greenhouse, but then it would be harder to keep warm. So there you go. Drop me a comment if you've got any questions, and that's it for now. Thanks a lot.